Now, no opportunity wasted. I'm your host, Angelica Ross. And right now, we're about to break through the political noise and get straight to the truth. I want to introduce a new segment that'll hopefully be recurring called Now Make It Make Sense, where we go through the headlines, the political spin, and all the mess and ask the question, now, does this make sense? And today, to help me sort through all the madness, I've got my friend and former Georgia House Representative, grassroots powerhouse, and my go-to when I'm trying to decode all of the politics, Renitta Shannon. Welcome to the show, Renitta Shannon. Welcome back.
What's up? What's up?
You know,
always happy to be here.
So I thank you for being here.
Yes.
So Renitta, like the people might not know, but not only are we friends, but you know, you who I go to and consult with when I'm trying to really understand what is going on, especially because I'm looking, you know, to get into the arena of politics.
Mm-hmm.
It's a circus arena for sure.
For sure.
But, you know, I've always seen you breaking down the things, whether you're breaking it down at the house or breaking it down on Roland Martin. So thank you for being here with me to help me break all these things down. So I want to start breaking down. Okay, so some of the things in the headlines, obviously, the headlines are Trump. But I just feel like white people, I knew he was lying, but I just feel like white people right now, or the people that voted for him, are feeling like, I don't know what happened. And he's broken his promises. And I'm like, well, he's broken some of his promises.
Right.
Because some of them he is fully following through on that were in line with Project 2025. So let's kind of break through what are the promises that he kept and what are the promises that he's breaking. Like, okay, inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I thought he told all of us the eggs and bread and all that was going to come down.
Right. So you are pulling out the receipts. He did. He campaigned and said that he was going to cut inflation on day one of him being in office. He said that eventually he would cut inflation by 50%. Obviously, none of that has happened. Eggs are up, gas is up. And I think it's really important to look at those two things, eggs and gas, because eggs are in pretty much anything that we eat, any food you consume in a restaurant usually is going to have eggs in it. And it's a good kind of measure of like where things are for the public, looking at what you're paying for eggs. And then, of course, gas for your vehicle, gas for shipping, just all types of things. Both of them have gone up since he took office. So like you said, there's a lot of folks like, what had happened? And you see what's happening.
But my thing is that he said those things. And I guess this is my thing with politicians anyways. They say things, but my big question is always, how?
Right.
Was he like, do you even know? Did he have a plan on how? Or how would he even get to that people would even believe that that's possible when we're already talking about, and they were already talking about tax cuts for the rich?
Right. So to your point, why would people believe that he was going to do anything that he said he was going to do? It's something that I like to talk about a lot, which is there are still too many people who think that the white man's ice is colder, and it's not.
Wait, so can you break that saying down? What does that mean?
So what that means is people have this inherent trust looking at him saying, oh, well, he was a businessman. So all these things that he's promising that he's going to cut inflation and all of that, I know that he's going to do it. But nobody pays attention to how he ran his businesses before he was in office and lack of experience.
That's what I was saying. Like, wait, okay. So we know that Trump is infamous for not paying his bills.
Right.
For leaving people high and dry. For not like having bad relationships with contractors. I think he's done bankruptcy a couple of times as well, no?
He has.
So I understand in business, because I'm an entrepreneur too. I understand sometimes you do have to swing big, you know, to do this in business, but only people like him, like the white man's ice, like you said, only people like them get that many opportunities to go bankrupt and to lose your money. Your money.
Absolutely. It's like he's trying to get the rest of us to experience bankruptcy like he did. And for me, that's a hard pass.
That's a hard pass. I haven't done bankruptcy. I'm not trying to experience that. So that's a no for me.
But the prices of inflation and how inflation has gone up since he's taken office feels like that's what he's trying to drive the entire country towards.
Everything is so high priced. And not to mention, we're in a losing battle. I feel like it's a class war, really, because not only are prices going up, but then you have corporations who want to participate in like dynamic pricing. so that when you go to the grocery store, the price is different depending on who's buying it.
Right. A lot of corporations are trying to institute using AI so that they can sort of do pricing that, they can change it at liberty. And it's very, very scary. And so that's why, having Trump in office is like, this is the type of person who's not going to protect us.
But do people realize he's the one? Do they? Because he loves to pass the buck and take responsibility for things that he didn't do. Are they going to really realize this is his fault? This is his responsibility right now? Or do you think he's going to continue to blame it on the administration before and all of that?
So, and it's so funny you bring that up because that is what he has been doing. When anybody asks him about why inflation is up and you said you're going to cut it on day one, we're just getting a lot of, well, you see what had happened was from him. And it's like, no, that's not what you promised. That's not what you campaigned on. And we want results.
So, okay. So inflation's up. You see people putting stickers. I saw a video, people putting stickers on prices in the grocery store that didn't know that Trump did that. You want to take credit for something? Take credit for them inflation prices. So, okay. So that's one thing that he broke his promise on. But I feel like he's actually kept his promise on a lot of things that he was saying, but also really that Project 2025 was really underlining. Even though he was trying to separate himself from the authors of it, that's pretty much who he's put in his cabinet. That's pretty much who he's surrounded, and that is the game plan that seems to be happening. My issue with following through on all of this is something feels off to me with the fact that it's like a villain in TV shows who ties someone up and stands there the whole time telling you their whole plan while you're getting loose out the things. Except we wasn't doing nothing while they said this was going to be the plan for all this time. People kept asking, even during the election, then what will be not just your response to, what's your response to Project 2025? Because we know this is not just something that's going to be enacted if and when Trump wins, but it's something that was already being put into place. Right. A lot of Project 2025 has already been put into place.
Oh, for sure. And like, if you look back to what Republicans were saying, even in the 80s, back to Ronald Reagan, a lot of the stuff in Project 2025 is what Republicans have been saying for so long. So it should not have been a surprise to anybody. But to your point, there were, roughly about 10 states that were all, and Georgia's one of them. There were roughly about 10 states that were already technically living under Project 2025 already, because most of the things in Project 2025 had already been accomplished in certain states.
So now, let me ask you this about Project 2025. When it comes to police reform, because, I'm about defund the police, but, some of y'all can't handle that language. You can only handle it when they're defunding the education department. That's why these kids is walking around, can't read and add things up together. But that's another conversation. With police reform, first of all, I don't even think police reform is possible. But I know Trump seems to want to be a friend to the police and more policing. So much so that he has deleted a database. Can you, y'all may not know about this or when this had happened, but they basically, the database existed that was keeping track of police officers who were, had bad, I guess, a bad record or stuff on their record, what have you, so that we could know, so that they just didn't get fired and go to another police station. Who enacted this? How did this get started? Obviously we need it. Mm-hmm. And then, what's the name of it? And now that it's being, I guess, deleted, are we now having to start from scratch?
So this is what happened. Let's just summarize it with Trump is a flip-flopper, and he's always been a liar and a flip-flopper. So the people who believe him, I just don't understand why they believe anything he says. But this is how this basically started. In 2020, after George Floyd was murdered by police, you remember there was also a presidential election that year, and Trump was running. And he mentioned that there should be a database that keeps track of police officers that have been fired for misconduct.
Trump
as well as he did, but it was not a new idea. In fact, I remember serving in the Georgia House of Representatives. I sponsored a bill that said part of it was for police reform, and part of it was to set up a database that would track bad cops. And at that time, when I sponsored that bill, I remember there was no database in place, neither at the state level or the federal level. So this was a very new thing. But Trump said it while campaigning in 2020 that he thought it was a good idea to have a database that would track cops who have been fired for misconduct and also cops who have committed crimes and been convicted like outside of their professional duty, and to make sure the DOJ would hold this database. And that would ensure that a bad cop can't get fired from one police department and then just go the next county over and get a job.
That happens all the time.
Exactly. And was always happening. So in 2020 was when the database actually came up. Now, he just said he agreed with it. It's important to note, he was not the person who originally came up with this idea. Many folks were saying that this needed to exist, including myself.
Right.
The point is that now, since he's taken office, he instructed the DOJ to delete this database. So it's only been around for a handful of years. He now has instructed the DOJ to delete it, and the database has now been deleted. So we've lost the information.
Okay. So this is my thinking. Okay. Because as a tech girl, cybersecurity, you want to, make sure that, like, we have the CIA, not the government CIA, but the tech CIA. And the tech CIA is just making sure with cybersecurity that you have confidentiality, there's an integrity to the system and the data, and it's accessible. Mm-hmm. Sounds like not only is data not going to be accessible to us anymore as far as the police stuff, but the integrity of the accuracy of data is going to be in question, especially now that Elon has gone into all of our stuff and has access to records with interns and things like that and all this stuff. So my question is, this is one of the worst nightmares I have ever been a part of. And I'm wondering, aren't we in a situation where we have a backup that we can just, okay, the government is backed up on a hard drive somewhere, and we can just plug it back up once this idiot is out of the office in 4 years and just get it back running up like it was?
It's unlikely, because with him telling the DOJ to delete this database, I'm sure that would include any backups. Now, the one saving grace is, I'm hoping that there were activists who were possible. This database was public, so it's public facing. So that meant anybody in the public could see it. So I'm hoping that activists, or even that one website, the Wayback Machine that keeps track of websites that have been deleted, I'm hoping that they have a backup of the information. But to your point, anything that's not like officially kept and managed by government is going to be kind of suspect as far as like if the information is accurate. So it looks like we'll probably be in a situation where we will probably largely have to start over. But to your point, also, we're waiting for Trump to not be in office to restart this project of making sure that bad cops don't hop from county to county. But what happens all these 4 years that he's in office? These bad cops are going to be jumping from county to county after they have, been.
And not to mention, he also promised people, don't worry about it. You're not going to have to vote no more. And he's trying to set himself up as king of this country, which I think, though I think you were telling me before, like a lot of these white corporate folks see themselves as king. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they want that idiot being king. But not only is I think he's following through when he says you won't have to vote again with this SAVE Act. Like, this is part going to that. Can you explain to the people what this SAVE Act? It sounds like it's something good, like Superman gonna come and save us. No, that ain't gonna happen. Ain't nobody coming to save us.
It's definitely not anything good. In fact, I would summarize the SAVE Act as mostly just saving white supremacy and patriarchy, because the SAVE Act is a bill that's actually passed through the House already. It passed in 2024. In the House of Representatives. And it's a bill that's being moved by Republicans. It's getting revived again. But essentially what it does is it removes any sort of automatic voter registration processes. So like right now, for example, in the state of Georgia and in many states, if you go and get a driver's license, they will automatically register you to vote. So there's a lot of like automatic voter registration that happens. So it gets rid of any type of automatic voter registration. And what it says is that if you want to vote or change your address or anything with voting, you have to show up in person at like the Secretary of State's office. You have to show up in person and present documents that prove that you are a U.S. citizen. And here's where it gets tricky. So in order to prove that you're a U.S. citizen, you would have to have your current ID match what is on your birth certificate. So
you're saying that is the qualification of proof of citizenship, is having an ID match your birth certificate?
certain types of IDs. And what's even trickier, so like if you have a passport, then fine, you can use that to prove that you're a U.S. citizen. But in order to, what you would not be able to do the way that we currently have things is you can just use your regular state issued driver's license to be able to register to vote. If the SAVE Act passes, you would not be able to use that. You would have to take your state ID or some type of picture ID that's been issued by the government, and then bring your birth certificate as well to show that you were born in the U.S. So
now, mind you, now you're saying a birth certificate. I need y'all to hear me on this. We're talking about you're going to have to bring your birth certificate and your ID. And you know who that's going to mess up? Not just trans people, not just me, and the fact that they won't let me change the name, they won't let me change the gender marker or the name on my birth certificate. So that will be different than the name and the gender marker on my ID. So that could, if the SAVE Act passes, that could give me trouble when it comes to voting. But it ain't just me and trans people. Who else does it hurt?
It's most so, and this is the thing that I really want to point out, like to your point and drive home. What they're saying is that it has to be the same name. So there are roughly 69 million married women in the country. It's largely going to affect married women because they generally, by tradition, will take their husband's name. And so that's not going to be the same as what was on their original birth certificate. It also, I just know like in the Black community, a lot of times the government will get our names wrong. My middle name is Sean Bay. The Social Security is the birth certificate. Is different.
Didn't they spell Beyonce name wrong on her? Did they say Beyonce or something?
You are right. Yes, they did. They did. And so, yeah, like it is really just something that is going to affect a lot of folks. And so some people are saying, well, you just get a passport. And it's like, well, passport is $200, not to mention we're already dealing with inflation. So,
and not to mention, that's another thing that might be a roadblock for me because my passport expires in October.
Right.
And right now they're saying basically they not giving trans people passports. You better hold on to the one you got and hope it don't expire during Trump's presidency, because I've heard so many stories of people either turning in their passports and not being able to get one back. Hunter Schafer just went to the public and basically said that they turned her passport back to mail. And what they don't understand is when you're an international star like Hunter or myself, and we're traveling a lot, you're now putting us in danger when I have to show a passport in another country that reveals a different gender. What it comes down to for me with this, and this is why I'm so upset about all of this, but it is what it is because I'm an OG girl. But what it is y'all keep trying to go with this narrative thinking that trans women are out here tricking y'all, that we have any investment in value in deceiving the world. The only thing we want to do is be able to leave our houses, go to our jobs, and get home safely without being harassed, killed, or otherwise. That's what we want. But they think that we're doing this as a deception thing. So what has been just so annoying for me is that they want me to wear a sign on my forehead that says trans woman walking, trans, so that everybody can choose to treat me like shit from the door.
Right. It's like making trans folks wear a scarlet letter.
That's what they want us to do, so that it hopefully discourages you to not want to, to step out into everyday public life. That's what I think they're trying to do, is to make us scared and discourage us from being out in public. But guess what, baby? That's never going to work. Trans people are never going anywhere. We're always going to be here. So just know that I've been, and my ancestors have been, on the side of the law where our lives were considered to be illegal or criminalized. This ain't my first time. So let's go. It is what it's going to be. And we're just going to have to fight for our rights. Like literally, we're going to have to fight for our rights.
Yeah, and the way that it looks like us fighting against what this administration is trying to do is going to look very different than how it has in the past. Already you see that folks have really taken to using their wallet to vote in the way of the boycotting that is going on with Target and all the anti-DEI initiative stuff. It's like people are finding creative ways to say, we are not going to take this, and this is not what we want to see in the country. So everybody needs to gear up and get ready.
But I think one of our biggest fights, to be honest, is going to be with ourselves and convenience.
Absolutely.
because I think that capitalism is all about selling us convenience and selling us
Mhm.
comfort. And folks are going to have to get uncomfortable and
Mhm.
be inconvenienced.
And that's a fight that we have. That's something that we've experienced before, because when you look at like the Montgomery bus boycott, that was like the main speech was like, listen, this is about to be real uncomfortable for everyone.
I mean,
You're
because
gonna
it sounds
have to work.
cute. It sounds cute, but
Right.
yeah, but what
Right.
did that entail? Walking to work,
That's right. Right. Walking to work,
make sharing cars.
doing a lot of things that you don't want to do. And so we've seen it before, we've dealt with it before, and I hope everybody's ready.
I'm ready. Well, hope you guys are all ready. We will be right back with my interview with Hope Giselle. I'm going to say that one more time just in case that's not right after, but well, I will be ready. You gonna be ready?
Listen, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready.
I heard that. Well, I hope y'all are ready, and we will be right back.